Endurance racing is one of the toughest types of motorsport anybody can compete in, as it tests not only the speed of the team's car, but also durability and true quality. To make a vehicle last 12 or 24 hours doing its 100% performance is a tricky task and creates an interesting kind of racing. It is like a marathon, but not only a human must survive, his machine's survival is crucial for winning as well. Toyota has been involved in endurance racing since Group 5 in the 1970s with Celicas and Corollas. Group 5 was later merged with Group 6 into Group C, which FIA designed primarily as an endurance series with the 24 hours of Le Mans included. Group C gained a lot of attention and was allowed to race in various other championships, such as the All Japan Sports Prototype Championship. Yes, it was that Group C where the MAZDA 787B was also present. Toyota worked hard in Group C ever since its beginning in 1982, but without any significant success so far. As we know, persistence paid off and Toyota rightfully earned its latest titles, but it was a long and tough way. The regulations changed in favor of a 3.5-liter engine displacement in 1991 with an intention to lure Formula 1 teams into endurance racing. In 1991, the old and new cars ran side by side, but for Toyota, it meant a completely new engine and ideally a new chassis along with it. It was a long body known for its crazy aero and rear-wheel covers during the early times. It was the beginning of the new endurance racing for Toyota, launching an all-new TS series. The first model was called the TS010 and the decision was made to develop a new naturally aspirated 10-cylinder. Fundamentally, it was a 3.5-liter made from aluminum as a 72-degree V10. Serving as a testbed for a multi-valve technology since 1991, Toyota also introduced a 20-valve 4AG engine in the Corolla, Carina and Sprinter about the same time. The V10 weighed less than 140 kilograms and was capable of revving up to 13,000. That was quite an achievement given the fact that it had to survive for 24 hours at a racing pace and had 600 horsepower in hand. The reliability of the V10 was beyond expectations, and yet it could produce well over 700 horsepower in a sprint state. Interestingly, the engine was paired to a regular H-pattern 6-speed, and drivers had to be careful not to over-rev the engine. One of the drivers held the shifter so tight that he injured his palm, said Toyota's engineer Yoshiaki Kinoshita. They continued testing in February 1992, the year when Toyota finally achieved some success in endurance racing. The team went over to a circuit of Eastern Creek in a neighboring Australia for 9-day camping. With a team of 50 engineers and 5 drivers, there was nothing much to write home about, except the last day of testing. To give an idea, Eastern Creek has got a high-speed left-hand turn after the straight, which an A1 GP race car can pass through at 260 km/h and a V8 supercar just under 200 km/h. In 1992, there was no aerodynamics regulation, and so the Toyota TS010 could basically run as much downforce as engineers could throw at it. It was exceptional, and the least downforce its body produced was 2,600 kilograms at 322 km/h. With a minimum weight of 750 kilograms, it was capable of 346 km/h of top speed. However, the most aggressive setup provided over 4 tons of downforce at the same speed, and the aero allowed it to run the first turn flat out at 315 km/h. There was so much grip caused by the downforce that drivers could not properly hit the limit of the car. An incredible speed, but there was a catch. Already a bump in the middle of the corner, and 31-year-old Andy Wallace in the middle of his driving time broke his ribs driving through the bump. He adjusted his seating position to be able to continue, but eventually gave up and let another driver in the car, Hitoshi Ogawa. And guess what? The exact thing happened to him as well after about the same amount of driving. Formula 1 and endurance racing pilots are used to G-forces of 5 to 6 G in corners, but it comes smoothly. The bump caused a massive shift in G-force direction, and given the car's downforce and bone fatigue after so many laps, it resulted in the injury of both pilots. The funny part is that Andy kept it a secret, as he knew they would replace him in the upcoming event of Sebring 12 hours, 3 weeks after the injury. The circuit of Sebring is allegedly very bumpy, and the team raced in a Toyota-powered Eagle Mk3 with the factory support. Andy Wallace, taking some medicals as painkillers, shared the seat with a nephew of Juan Manuel Fangio II, and the team eventually won the race. "It hurt like hell," he added. Despite their hard effort in the 1992 24 Hours of Le Mans, Peugeot, as the main Toyota rival, finished first and third with their V10 powered 905, and the TS010 was left behind in the 2nd and 8th places. Wallace also mentioned that the Toyota TS010 still to this day is one of the best race cars he ever drove. The Peugeot 905 was a more successful race car, but the Toyota managed to overtake it just at the opening event on the 1992 500 km of Monza. I cannot end this video without mentioning how incredibly great these cars sound. The era of the V10 was truly spectacular. The engineers were very satisfied with the machine, proudly stating that they created a car that was stronger than a man. Toyota's founder, Kichiro Toyoda, spoke of his belief in motorsport in 1952, which he saw as important in terms of discovering new ways of advancing automotive technology. The aim of racing is not just to satisfy our curiosity, but rather to enable the development of the Japanese vehicle industry.